Good morning. It is 9 a.m. I'm Kay Williams, Chairman of the Properties Committee, and I'd like to call the October 3rd meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and I'd like to welcome our guests in the audience, wherever they may be. They will have an opportunity to ask questions on any agenda item after the committee's finished talking about them. To improve transparency, the residents also can participate listening on YouTube and sending in comments. Any comments we get, Jolene will keep track of and read those as we progress throughout the meeting. So if you are able, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One other housekeeping measure that is being read before all of our meetings. The governing board conducted all of its meetings, including committee meetings, in compliance with Arizona open meeting laws, ARS 33-1804, and in concert with the RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, will also be followed consistent with Bylaw 3.07, procedures for owner-member meetings, and the standing rules numbers 2 and 3. All questions and comments are directed to the committee chair. All comments are entertained at the discretion of the committee chair. Speakers shall state their name, member number, and speak in a courteous manner. The committee chair may limit, may limit commentary time and the number of times that they may speak on any issue. The committee chair also may redirect commentary at individual agenda items to the general guests' comments, agenda line item, except when the committee has discussed the agenda item and consensus on agreement is sought. All fire and room safety precautions and regulations are strictly obeyed at all meetings per the guidance of the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority. The committee chair reserves the right to adjourn any meeting if the safety of the committee, meeting attendees, or others is deemed at risk, or if there is too much disruption to continue. After one verbal warning by the chair, the committee chairperson also reserves the right to ask any meeting attendee to leave any meeting should their behavior be deemed dangerous or unacceptable. Disciplinary action may be followed. Thank you. We do have a quorum, and we'll move on to 2.01, the approval of the minutes from our September 5 meeting. Are there any changes? If not, they will stand approved as printed. I believe we have a representative here ready to speak to us about the lecture hall room safety from the Fire Marshal's office. If you would come forward, please. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robert Olmstead. I am the Fire Marshal for the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority. Here today to talk a little bit about room capacity and some safety items for the room and the crowds here in the room. We were asked to come in and look at the room and make an updated recommendation on the capacity of the room and also as to the rest of the room and egress pathways, et cetera, for the room. And I believe that was pursuant to a rather large crowd here at a meeting in June. So having come in and looked at the room and the layout, we updated the capacity of the room to 107. I believe that's already posted. And more importantly, I think than that, the way the room is now laid out, there isn't any additional room for standing or sitting in the aisles in the back of the room on the counter or on the short wall in the back of the room, as that would impede the egress pathways. And one thing I always like to mention with that, and I know a number of you have already heard this a number of times, but fire code as it exists is very reactive and not proactive, meaning that we have the fire codes we have because a number of people have lost their lives or been injured previous to this. So would appreciate adherence to those updated recommendations and the rules that are posted in the room. Appreciate the opportunity and happy to answer any questions at this time.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much for coming and
Thank you.
joining us. Moving right along. Carl, you're up.
Good morning, committee. Thank you, Director Williams, and the audience. We've had a very busy September, and the capital projects updates, beginning with R.H. Johnson. We completed the replacement of the member services awnings on 9/11. We also completed the spa, pool storage building, and small maintenance buildings down by R.H. Johnson Swim and Fitness and facilities maintenance. So our foam roofs there have been restored, and that restarts our 10-year warranty on those roofs, and that was completed 9/13. The pickleball facility had a couple of projects this season. First was windscreen replacement, completed on 9/15, and then secondly, the pickleball facility courts 1 through 8, which is all the courts. That project was completed on 9/19. Just the other day on 10/1, parking lot number 3 in front of the social hall all the way to the sports pavilion, the asphalt that was milled and replaced last year received its first seal and stripe coating, and that preserves that for 4 years, and we continue that cycle for the parking lot's useful life of approximately 30 years. A tennis facility resurface, courts 1 through 16. By this Saturday, will be approximately 50% complete. The original completion date was 9/27, due to that vendor not having quite the amount of crews that they originally projected for us to do 3 projects at the same time. I helped them rally and make sure they focused on finishing R.H. Johnson Sands pickleball, Palm Ridge pickleball, which I'll report in a moment, and then bringing 100% of their crew back over to tennis. So I believe that between the 9th and the 15th, we should be 100% complete at the R.H. Johnson tennis facility. We'll be transitioning to courts 7 through 1 next Monday, including court 16. So we'll be doing a little transition in our tennis scheduling program to make sure that it shows what courts are available for rental or for booking, and everybody will see that we're moving on towards completion there. The administrative building roof restoration project is in progress, so we have a couple more weeks left of the roofer on there for that restore. And then the outdoor pool here at R.H. Johnson, the rubber deck warranty replacement is in progress. Tonight begins rubber install around the pool's coping edge, the blue border, and then they'll continue till completion, which I project to be at least 3 more weeks until they're done and that pool is back to being reopened. Moving over to Palm Ridge, the fitness room strength and cardio equipment replacement was completed on 9/12. We had a large handful of not only positive comments on the equipment, but I would say equal amount of concerns, actually not liking the equipment, to be fully transparent. We have worked for the last 2 weeks in facility operations to make multiple appointments, and I'm going to say that cooperatively between CC and Fitness, which is our fitness provider, for training throughout the rec centers, their staff, the manufacturer's rep that sold us the equipment, Sabrina, my supervisor, and myself, Matt Wellman. We've had some amazing interaction with our members to help understand what their concerns were. I would say that to date, we're probably 98% resolved as far as their understanding of the old fit and finish of a machine or how things operated for them, whether chairs slid back and adjusted, and now it's different components that adjust, but to meet the same workout opportunities, and we've had a great response. Some of the other difficulties were the modern technology of the treadmills. We had two-hour sessions this week, and the overwhelming response was great. Once they saw truly how easy it was and that the channels truly are there and they're not used to streaming live as opposed to Cox Cable, everybody was pleased. There wasn't a person that left there after that moment that was unhappy. And the categories that they realized that they didn't even have available to them were you could play 52 different card games while running on a treadmill. You can watch all the live choices of news to your preference. There's every category. And then there's this large category of places like Patagonia, Italy, France. If you choose to hit that program, the treadmill actually reacts to the terrain that is being shown on the TV screen. So it really made a difference, and we're going to continue that throughout the next few weeks to provide basically an hour per day at different alternating times each day of the week, all the way to the 16th of October, where we're going to be having another open house with all of our training staff and the manufacturer's rep to just keep people educated. So really encouraging about that. I mentioned that the pickleball facility resurface project, courts 1 through 10, that was completed on 9/27, which is approximately 3 days past the original schedule. Over to Beardsley, the arts and crafts parking lot and aquatics parking lots were completed on 9/17 and 9/19 with their seal and stripe coats. And the Beardsley Park perimeter fence and gates project is in progress. As of today, I believe the actual metal enclosure of the fence is going to be complete, and all we have is we have about 50% of the fence that needs still painting. So that'll be done in the next few days, and just in time for event season kicking off tonight. So Desert Trails, the Pro Shop patio expansion and shade canopy, which was a carryover project from 23-24, was completed on 9/11. And that's the end of my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Does anyone on the committee have any questions for Carl? Mike?
Carl, I was wondering, I know you have Matex machines in Palm Ridge, and they have the same thing in Beardsley. Are they comparable machines?
They're identical machines, in fact, just 1 year newer. I mean, there's not really much difference in the technology. Beardsley's replacement is one level down for the treadmills in its digital screens. Palm Ridge had a higher level of information that it provided based on how the TVs in the room and that set up. So that's really the only difference. Otherwise, they're the same line of treadmills and cardio equipment. Just the modern screen capability is a little different between the two.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else on that end have any questions? Carl, I just hope that in your scheduling of trainers, that at least 1 or 2 sessions are at 6 a.m., because that's when we have a lot of regulars there. And since that's when I'm usually there, I've heard a lot of comments about it, and you're right, it is an adjustment period. We're learning and getting used to it, but the biggest issue, I think, is, as you mentioned, is the adjustment of the seats, and some of the other pieces of the equipment aren't the same, and so it's taking a little while to get used to that. But
I had probably my largest commenting person spend about a half an hour with me, and I was really impressed to see that he went online himself, researched, and came back to me because he read something in the Independent about how much we spent on the machines. The information was inaccurate. We spent exactly what was approved, or we stayed within what was approved and actually had savings. And when he did his research on the line of equipment that won the bid, he did say it is the best. And I was pleased to hear that. And then a few of the members that were loving the equipment partnered with him, and he went on with his workout. So it just takes a little time, transition.
I have one other question. The two TVs that are on the wall that have been restricted to sports on one and 40-year-old cartoons on the other to keep peace as people there are there and they're not having news and during this pre-election time causing difficulties. Are they going to remain the same?
So, we're purposely taking the stance of no news,
Yes.
waiting till the election is over, and then returning to a neutral platform for if news needs to be broadcasted. But at any given time, if somebody asks for something other than cartoons, we'll change the channel for you. So,
Okay.
that's no problem there. One day
Okay.
somebody says Food Network, and the next day somebody says cartoons or golf. So, it makes no difference to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from the audience for Carl? If not, Mr. Boston, you're on.
Good morning. Okay, short list. R.H. Johnson Boulevard, common wall painting has finally been completed. Been a long process. Our staff is currently pressure washing and painting the common walls along El Mirage. And as they're pressure washing, 100% of the paint is coming off. So it tells you how much overdue that was. They have done everything from, I call it Deer Valley, because there's parts of Deer Valley that are natural block and not painted, but the paint starts about midway. That has been fully completed all the way to Beardsley. And then we took off from Beardsley towards Bell, and they're about a quarter of the way down towards Bell Road in the pressure washing process. All modifications to the R.H. Johnson pool backwash system and the new outdoor spa filters has all been completed. Not without issues, but they got all their issues resolved. The only thing that is left is they need to come out now and teach us how all that stuff operates. And we have a lot more ball valves than we had before. So we don't even know how to backwash the system until they show us how that's done. So we look forward to that. And then we also installed a new air conditioner unit at the R.H. Johnson Tennis Building. That was on record, our oldest unit on record. It was the interior piece of that unit was original 1979. And that completes my report.
Doesn't want to stay on. Properties Committee has already done the review of all of the policies that we are responsible for reviewing each year. And we have looked very carefully at all of them. We've had a lot of input among our group, and I am proud to announce that we have completed the review and find that the policies are adequate to serve the owner members of Sun City West and do not need any changes this year. So that is one of our major assignments is completed probably 2 months ahead of schedule. Moving to 502, the update on the Desert Garden Club sculpture, that has been resolved by our general manager, and staying with past practice, that request has been declined. So the estate will resolve the issue with that equipment in another fashion. Any comments from the committee? I'll start down at that end.
Nope, I don't. I do have one.
Go ahead.
This is my first year on the committee, and I am enjoying the tour of the different facilities, learning a lot. You just see a lot more detail when you go with a group of people who are very aware of what happens in these facilities. So it's a good thing.
John?
No comment.
I have a comment. I just want to say kudos to Carl and Russ. You guys do an awesome job. And thank you for your reports. They're very thorough. We can understand them, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
To no surprise, I have one comment before I turn it over to the audience. We've already completed 2 of our inspections. We were trying something a little different, thanks to our governing board president, when he announced that anyone who was serving on a standing committee was welcome to attend Kay's walkthroughs if they wanted to. The only catch is they had to show up at 6:45 in the morning. I was pleasantly surprised the first week that we had 7 members of the Budget and Finance Committee that showed up and did that whole walkthrough with us. The most rewarding thing about that was the appreciation that they had for what we do. The gentlemen that were there, many of them brand-new members to that committee, or any committee in many cases, were so appreciative, thanked us and said, you know, "Okay, I've learned more from you in an hour and a half than I've done, and I've lived here 5 years." So it was well worth doing. I had about 4 showed up at this week's walkthrough. So there's only been one other member of another of the 5 standing committees that has been there, but it's been an experiment worth a try, and I just wanted to let our president know that, as well as the rest of you, that it was a good idea, and I think people are now much more aware of all the behind-the-scene things that we have and that we inspect and look at, so time well spent on that. It's your turn. Anybody in the audience have any comments they would like to make? Any questions they would like to ask? We have 3 more weeks of our inspections left. We'll be doing Kuntz on the 15th, and then we will be doing the 2 weeks that it takes us to do the facilities here. So, I'm sorry, those are Never mind. If there are no other comments, we are adjourned